So I'm Sarah. My pronouns are she, her. I lived at Masala for about a year and a half, from 2021 to May of 2023. So this year. And I moved into Masala for many different reasons. But one was that I had previously worked in affordable housing advocacy. And through that, I came across this idea of like resident controlled housing. And I was really interested in that and how that actually would work. And I also wanted to find community. I was sort of in a transition where I was moving back to the Front Range of Colorado, and I really didn't want to live in Denver again. But I hadn't been considering Boulder because I had assumed I wouldn't be able to afford Boulder until I came across the BHC. And so the BHC kind of led me to Boulder, and in many ways influenced the path I'm on. So I lived in Masala for a year and a half. It was a challenging experience, as I'm sure like many of you who have lived in co-ops, there are challenges, but it was also transformational and really amazing in so many ways. I met my partner at Masala. I also met some good friends, and living in community has been super supportive for me. And I've met and formed relationships with a much more diverse set of people than I think I would have otherwise sort of come into community with. Learned a lot of things at Masala, how to cook for 11 people. That was something I was so intimidated by when I first moved in. And then it was like nothing at all by the end. How to facilitate consensus decision making. That is a skill that super helpful for like any kind of organizing space or any kind of leadership role. Nonviolent communication has been really helpful. Lots of exposure just to new ideas and new ways of thinking about the world, and events I wouldn't have gone to otherwise. Living at Masala helped me gain a lot of confidence in myself and my ability to work with community, and just sort of join a new community. And it's impacted me in a lot of ways after moving out. So for one thing, it's impacted the direction of kind of my path in my career. So I'm now a graduate student at CU Boulder, and I am getting my master's in geography. And I'm hoping to write my thesis on ways to decommodify housing and create alternative forms of housing ownership and governance. So my personal experience at Masala is part of what led me to asking these kinds of questions, but it also led me to meeting Jennifer Fleury, who's my advisor and who's also on the board of the BHC. Beyond the like research direction I'm taking as a graduate student, I have to teach. And honestly, facilitating meetings at Masala was like the single most helpful thing that helped me inform my teaching for college students. I had to be confident speaking in front of groups and kind of facilitate groups, which I really wasn't very confident doing before living at a co-op. When I left Masala, I did not want to leave living in community. So I and a couple of other former co-op members moved in to what used to be the Pickle Brick Co-op on 13th Street. The Pickle Brick Co-op has moved to a different location on the hill because of a complicated history, but by total chance, we found the house that they used to live in and were able to get it. So we are just renting this house, but our house consists of former co-opers from the BHC and elsewhere, and we implement a lot of the systems that we learned through the BHC. So we share food, we have monthly meetings, we gather community in our space, and in general use a lot of the kind of like NVC and conflict resolution skills that we learned through the BHC. We jokingly, because our house is the old pickle brick house, we jokingly called ourselves Sickle Prick, and apparently that name has stuck. Right after we moved into this house, we passed the update to the occupancy limit in Boulder so that it's now legal for 5 people to live together. And my housemates and I showed up to that meeting alongside Lincoln and a ton of other people who have been fighting for this for a really long time. And so it was this sort of moment of like, like the BHC like motivated me and my housemates to like be involved in this advocacy and have a stake in this, and that we like won this thing that has been a tool to like stop communal housing from happening in Boulder for a long time. Living in the BHC helped me feel more trust in being able to live in community, and that's sort of the best security that I could have. And I plan to live in community in some form for the rest of my life, because I have learned these skills and forms, even though it's really difficult in our capitalist system to make this work. I've learned the value of trying to make it work. And so I also plan to donate some money to the BHC this year. So thank you for listening to my story.